In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Suppose you are driving a motorbike or a vehicle and you don't have a good control over your motorbike or your vehicle. Suppose you are traveling from one city to the other city, and in midway you find that the accelerator is not working. Obviously, you will be stuck there unless either you are towed out of that position and taken to the garage, taken to the workshop, or you feel like your brakes are not working. How troublesome, how troublesome both of these situations are, because it makes us quite unhappy. It can put us into quite a trouble, a pain. If at all a person is driving a vehicle and the brakes are not working, it might cause a traffic accident, and this traffic accident might cause even the death or the severe injuries of a person. Okay or not? Yes. So it is very important to have a good control over your vehicle. Not only that you yourself be fit enough, fresh enough, you shouldn't be feeling drowsy or tired. Rather, the vehicle should be quite okay. Certain things which are essential must be okay. Mean one of those certain things is the accelerator system, and one of those essential thing is the brakes. I'm not saying that other things are not essential, but these two are one of the most essential items of the vehicle, to control, to keep it under the control, to use it the way it is beneficial for us. Now now let's bring this situation to a human being, to ourselves. We too need a good control system. We need to have a good control system, but the trouble is that our emotions sometimes the lack of motivation puts us into a position which is like a vehicle out of control. Like, for an example, which happens with almost everybody or with overwhelming number of the people. I have made a rule that I won't be doing this thing again. I want to stop doing it. I don't want to do it because it is causing me trouble, pain, injuries, harm, loss of money, loss of respect, or any other way. Or it is because it is causing trouble to the other people, to my loved ones. I have decided I shall not be doing it again. But still we do it. Not necessarily at each and every moment, but at certain points we do it. Although the rule was not to do it. Why did we do that? Because because we were lacking control over ourselves at that time. And this lack of control over ourselves at that particular moment, once we made a decision to do it again, once we started doing it, we were lacking control over ourselves, either because of emotions or because of certain other reasons, because we were unmotivated or whatever it is. Now there is another thing, situation, that now this thing where I said that we decided that I won't be doing it, still I did that. Why? Because our brake system, using the terminology of the vehicle, our brake system was not working well at that moment. Our brake system was not working well at that particular moment. That is why we could not protect ourselves from that bad, negative, harmful, suspicious activity. And we did that despite the fact that we ourselves has made a rule that I won't do it again. But still we did that. Why? Because we lacking control over ourselves. And using the terminology of the vehicle, because our brake system was not working at that particular moment, we lost control over our brake system at that particular time. Now, is there any solution to it? Yes, there is a solution to it. The solution to it is that if keep practicing, keep using your control system, your brake system, even when it is not needed. Like, there are certain other things which are not, you didn't make a rule to eradicate it out of your life, but still stop doing it for a moment, for few minutes only, so that my brake system, my control system remain in use, remain active. And it is a kind of exerting control over oneself. Exerting control over oneself is not any way lesser important than exerting control over our vehicle. Not any way less, because it is also very important, very important, very important indeed. Because if at all we don't have a good control over ourselves, if at all our own brakes are not working properly, what is going to happen then? We might land in trouble. So that is why we made a rule that I shall not be doing it again. I have to stop doing it. That is fine. So the solution is to keep our brake system active, to keep exerting control over ourselves even when it is not needed. Simply to tell ourselves, simply to get a reassurance that I shall be having a good amount of control over myself. Hence, my movement, my action, myself is safe enough. I'm not at risk at all. I'm not at risk. I'm rather safe. So keep ourselves safe, we need to keep exerting control over ourselves even when it is not needed. Simply to keep the brakes in a working position. Simply to keep testing. Simply to keep checking the brake system, the control service system of ourself. Now there is another thing. There are other certain things which we have decided to do it, like getting up early in the morning, saying the prayer, going to the work, reading the Quran, etc., etc., or visiting the parents, and asking them whatever they need. How can I help them at the moment? So checking their need and asking their their inquiring about their health and their etc. I have decided to do this thing, but at certain occasions I fail to do that. Why I fail to do that? Because I was not motivated, because my emotions interfered, or whatever the reason, I could not exert control over myself at that particular time. So for that reason I have broken my own rule. So breaking our own made rules again and again or frequently, it shows that our own control system is not working well. So we need to fix it. We can call it, using the terminology of the vehicle, we can call it an accelerator. Earlier we use the term of brakes, vehicle brakes. Now we are using the word accelerator of a vehicle. It is a kind of accelerator of a vehicle. And if our accelerator is not working, we should try to use it even when it is not needed. Simply off and on, no, no, not always, off and on. Simply the purpose is to keep our accelerator system in use, to keep it well lubricated, to keep it well oiled, to keep it quite active, to keep it to keep it under our control. So these are the two techniques. These are the two actually exercises to gain the control over ourselves and to exert a control over ourselves. We need to keep exerting control over ourselves. This is very useful, this is highly useful, and maybe this is more useful than anything else. Why am I calling it more useful than anything else? Because having a control over oneself, and being able to observe the do's and the don'ts, being able to observe the do's and the don'ts, being able to do the do's and the don'ts. well. I think so. It is something very basic. It is something very first one, and that is why we cannot afford to ignore the importance of it. We cannot ignore the fitness of ourself. The control system, having a good control over oneself. I think we have discussed the two. Quite a useful techniques and training. How can we train ourselves? To be able to control ourselves, to be able to observe the do's and the don'ts we have decided ourselves. Thank you very much. Jazakallah.